Have you noticed something strange? The more conscious you become, the less money you seem to have. And the people who seem the least spiritually aware, they're building empires. Why is it that the moment someone awakens, their bank account collapses? Why does clarity expand while financial stability shrinks? It feels like some kind of cosmic joke, doesn't it? You meditate, you journal, you heal your trauma, yet somehow you're still broke. Meanwhile, your old coworkers, the ones who gossip, complain, live unconsciously, they're buying houses, managing investments, and climbing ladders you no longer care about. It's as if awakening upgraded your soul, but downgraded your income. And if you've been wondering, is there something wrong with me? Am I doing this spiritual thing incorrectly? You're not alone, and you're not crazy. Because today, we're going to explore a paradox almost no one talks about: why highly conscious people struggle financially, and why none of it is your fault. By the end of this video, you'll understand 3 things clearly. First, why awakened people often lose financial stability, the psychology, the energetic shift, and the role of ego death that quietly dismantles your old money identity. Second, the 5 financial mistakes only awakened people make, mistakes that normal, unconscious people never fall into. And third, how to transform this phase, how to stay awake and rebuild real material prosperity without losing your soul in the process. If this topic already stings a little, stay with me. I promise, by the end, you won't feel ashamed. You'll feel empowered. When you awaken, your motivation to chase money collapses, not because you're lazy, but because a part of you died. And that part was the one society told you was necessary to survive. For most of your life, your drive for money came from the ego, the part that wants to be admired, validated, respected, seen as successful enough, the part that fears falling behind, the part that compares, competes, and hustles because it's terrified of being nobody. But during awakening, that old identity dissolves. The ego doesn't disappear completely, but its grip weakens, and with it, all the behaviors anchored in fear. Chasing status, seeking approval, proving your worth through numbers in a bank account. And here's the paradox. Those 3 things, status, prestige, and validation, are the exact fuel that drives most of society's financial achievements. Remove them, and the engine stops running. Not because you lack ambition, but because the old ambition was built on illusions you can no longer force yourself to believe. I've seen this happen countless times. A woman who was once the top salesperson in her company, breaking records, earning commissions, thriving on competition, suddenly wakes up one morning and realizes the entire game feels empty. The same scripts, the same metrics, the same pressure. She used to feel alive closing deals. Now she feels like she's betraying herself. Within 6 months, her income drops by half. Not because she's incapable, but because the meaning system her career relied on has collapsed. Or the man who walks away from his 6-figure corporate job because awakening cracked something open inside him. He feels called toward creativity, healing, nature, purpose. But here's the tricky part. He left the old system without building a new one. He thought finding meaning would magically pay the bills. But meaning doesn't automatically produce income. Not until you learn how to translate your inner shift into an outer structure. And this is where awakened people often fall into the same painful trap. They confuse, "I don't care about money right now," with "money is irrelevant forever." They assume this temporary detachment is a spiritual truth rather than a transitional phase. They romanticize minimalism, think poverty is purity, and tell themselves the universe will take care of it, while ignoring the practical skills required to sustain the new life they're moving into. But here's the real lesson. Losing the false motivation is healthy. Letting the old ego-driven hustle die is necessary. But you must replace it with a true source of motivation, one aligned with your awakened self: creation, service, freedom. Not the hunger for status, but the desire to express your gifts. Not the need to prove yourself, but the wish to contribute. Not the fear of scarcity, but the pursuit of inner and outer freedom. When you rebuild your financial life on these new foundations, prosperity stops feeling like a prison and starts feeling like an extension of your awakening. And this brings us to the next hidden cause of financial struggle, one that's even more subtle. How many awakened people unknowingly turn poverty into a virtue? Let's go deeper. Many awakened people are broke simply because they spiritualize their financial wounds. Not consciously, but subtly, softly, almost beautifully, in the language of spirituality. This phenomenon is called spiritual bypassing, using spiritual beliefs to avoid uncomfortable truths, especially the ones that trigger deep fear or old trauma. And money, for most people, is one of those triggers. Instead of facing the anxiety around finances, the fear of failure, the shame of charging for your gifts, the terror of being seen, many awakened individuals wrap their avoidance in spiritual language. It sounds elevated, poetic, enlightened, but underneath, it's still fear. You've probably heard these phrases before, or maybe even said them. Money is low vibration. The universe will provide. I don't need money to be free. These ideas are extremely common in the American spiritual community. They feel comforting because they give permission to step away from a system that once felt toxic. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The universe is not going to pay your rent. The universe is not going to cover your medical bills. The universe is not going to magically manifest your groceries. The universe responds to alignment, but it also responds to action, structure, and responsibility. Carl Jung expressed this perfectly in his writings, paraphrased, "What you avoid becomes your destiny." In other words, the things you refuse to face eventually control you. And for many awakened people, money is the exact shadow they never integrate. Let me give you a real and painfully common example. A healer, intuitive, or energy worker, someone deeply gifted, refuses to set a price for their sessions because healing should be free. They pouring their soul into others, and what happens? They burn out. Their savings evaporate, they become resentful, and eventually they lose the capacity to help anyone, including themselves. Not because they lack talent, not because their purpose wasn't real, but because they spiritualized their fear of charging into a moral philosophy. Poverty, in this case, isn't noble, it isn't spiritual, it isn't pure. It's a consequence of avoidance. Here's the deeper lesson. Money is not low vibration. Avoidance is. Poverty born from fear is. Money is simply a tool, a neutral amplifier. In the hands of an awakened person, it becomes fuel for service, creativity, and impact. But to use it consciously, you must stop hiding behind spiritual rhetoric and meet your financial wounds directly, compassionately, and courageously. And once you stop bypassing, something remarkable happens. You begin to enter the next stage, the one almost nobody warns you about, the fragile, uncomfortable middle space where your old identity is gone, but your new one hasn't fully formed yet. Let's explore that liminal phase. There's a stage in awakening that almost nobody warns you about, a fragile, disorienting space where your old life has fallen apart, but your new one hasn't formed yet. This is the identity freefall. After the ego dissolves and you stop bypassing your financial fears, something strange happens. Your sense of purpose expands, but your material structure collapses. It's like your soul upgraded to a new operating system, but your external life is still running on outdated software. And in this gap, this uncomfortable in-between, financial struggle often appears, not as punishment, but as a symptom of transition. You start seeing through the illusions that once motivated you. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't pretend that chasing promotions, titles, or corporate ladders still makes sense. But at the same time, you haven't yet built a new path that honors who you've become. It's a little like quitting a job before knowing what job comes next, or like leaving a relationship before knowing who you are outside of it. Let me give you a real, very American example. A man named Daniel, mid-40s, father of two, spent 20 years in finance. He was good at his job, very good, but awakening hit him like a lightning strike. Meditation, breathwork, shadow work, all of it cracked open a sense of truth he'd buried for decades. Suddenly, spreadsheets felt meaningless. Manipulating markets for profit felt hollow. He wanted to create, to help, to teach, to serve. So he quit. But here's the part he didn't expect. Purpose doesn't automatically generate income. Meaning doesn't automatically pay the mortgage. Wisdom doesn't automatically translate into a business model. Daniel had clarity of soul, but zero structure. No pricing, no product, no plan, no identity beyond the old life I'm done with. And that's where so many awakened people suffer unnecessarily. Not because their purpose isn't real, it is. Not because they're irresponsible, they're not. But because they underestimate a simple truth. Awakening dismantles identity faster than it builds a new one. And when the inner transformation runs ahead of the outer transformation, the result is financial instability. This identity gap often leads to 3 destructive patterns. You wait for clarity instead of building clarity. You isolate, thinking others won't understand. You freeze because no option feels perfectly aligned. But here's the lesson hidden inside the freefall. You're not failing. You're rebuilding. Your old identity was constructed from fear. Your new identity must be constructed from alignment. This period is not a mistake. It's a renovation. And once people enter this phase, there's a particular trap almost all awakened individuals fall into next. A deeply subconscious belief that makes prosperity impossible until you see it. The belief that money and morality are at odds. Let's talk about it. Sometimes you're not broke because you lack money. You're broke because your nervous system can't hold abundance. And this is one of the most misunderstood truths in the spiritual world. In the previous stage, the identity freefall, your old motivation system collapses. But here, something even more primal is happening. Your body, not your mind, is rejecting wealth. Most awakened people have done tons of inner work, meditation, journaling, shadow work, inner child healing. You recognize your childhood scarcity wounds. You understand your patterns of undercharging. You see how trauma shaped your relationship with money. But here's the painful twist. Healing the mind is insight. Healing the nervous system is transformation. And most people stop at insight. Your logical mind might say, I deserve abundance. I'm ready for prosperity. But your nervous system, shaped by decades of fear, instability, or shame, whispers a different story. It says, too much is unsafe. Being seen is dangerous. If I receive more, I'll lose control. If I raise my price, people will leave. Let me give you some familiar American examples. A software engineer finally gets a raise, a big one. He should feel excited. Instead, he feels guilt and spends the extra money immediately. Not because he lacks discipline, but because his body can't hold the sensation of having more. Or the artist, the healer, the therapist, gifted, intuitive, deeply trained, who chronically undercharges. $40 sessions, $30 readings, prices that don't even cover their cost of living. Not because they lack skill, but because their nervous system associates charging more with shame, rejection, or danger. Or the freelancer, who knows exactly what their work is worth, but burns out constantly because they're terrified of setting boundaries or raising their rates. They overgive, overdeliver, and live in perpetual exhaustion. All because their body has normalized survival mode economics. This is the inner conflict. Your mind says you want wealth. Your body says it's unsafe. And when the body wins, sabotage happens automatically. Overspending, undercharging, procrastinating, avoiding opportunities, shrinking in moments when expansion is needed. Here's the biggest mistake awakened people make in this phase. They try to fix a nervous system issue with affirmations. They repeat, I am abundant, while their vagus nerve is locked in freeze mode. They visualize wealth while their body is preparing for threat. Another mistake, trying to set pricing from self-worth when self-worth hasn't been somatically integrated yet. Because if you set your prices from insecurity, they will always be too low. So what's the real path forward? Regulation, breathwork, somatic release, grounding practices that teach your body how to feel safe with receiving, trauma-informed business skills, learning to communicate, sell, and price your work in a way that honors your nervous system rather than overwhelming it. And finally, pricing based on value, not on your childhood wounds. When your body feels safe with abundance, wealth stops slipping through your fingers. It becomes sustainable, natural, almost inevitable. And once you stabilize the nervous system, another challenge emerges, one that's surprisingly practical: Awakened people often don't understand the basic mechanics of the modern economy. Let's unpack that in the next section. What if awakening wasn't meant to make you broke, but to help you earn in a completely different way? Up to this point, we've explored why awakened people struggle financially: ego dissolution, spiritual bypassing, identity freefall, and the nervous system's resistance to abundance. But struggle is not the destination, it's the initiation. Awakening wasn't designed to destroy your prosperity. It was designed to purify the way you create it. Not through fear, not through hustle, but through alignment, clarity, and conscious structure. So here's the path forward. Practical, grounded, and deeply spiritual. 1. Shift from survival work, soul work, strategically. Many awakened people make one dangerous mistake. They quit everything too fast. Awakening tells you the old career isn't aligned, and that's true. But leaving without a transition plan leads to panic, debt, or collapse. The real path is a 6 to 18-month bridge phase. Keep the job that pays the bills, not as a prison, but as scaffolding while you build your new life. During this period, build your skill stack: storytelling, coaching, or guiding healing modalities, digital product creation, audience building, online communication. These are the exact skills awakened entrepreneurs thrive in, because they turn lived wisdom into real value. 2. Redefine money spiritually. Money is not evil. Money is not low vibration. Money is not separate from consciousness. Money is a neutral amplifier. In the hands of a fearful person, it amplifies fear. In the hands of an awakened person, it amplifies freedom, impact, and healing. The question isn't, is money spiritual? The question is, who do you become when you have it? 3. Heal financial trauma. Every awakened person carries money stories from childhood. I'm bad with money. I don't deserve more. Money corrupts good people. These stories aren't personality traits. They're inherited scripts. Rewrite them consciously. I can learn wealth as a skill. Money reveals character, not corrupts it. I can receive without guilt. Wealth is learnable. Healing is learnable. And your nervous system can adapt when given the right tools. 4. Build conscious boundaries. Awakened people, especially healers and creators, often drown because they confuse compassion with obligation. You must learn. Clear pricing, clear boundaries, not rescuing people, separating empathy from business decisions. You can care deeply for people while also honoring your value. Boundaries are not barriers, they're containers for sustainable service. 5. Create instead of chase. Awakened individuals are not meant to compete in traditional capitalism. They thrive by creating ecosystems where value flows through authenticity. The business models that fit your nervous system are content creation, education, healing practices, coaching, spiritual entrepreneurship. These paths let you earn by expressing who you truly are, not by betraying yourself to fit an old system. If you integrate these principles, you'll discover something powerful. Awakening was never the enemy of wealth. It was simply clearing the space for a new kind of prosperity, one rooted in consciousness, not fear. And this brings us to the final moment of our journey, a soft, open door into a different relationship with abundance, purpose, and your place in the world. Let's close this together. So let's bring this full circle. You're not broke because you awakened. You're broke because awakening dissolves the false foundations of your financial life. The ego-driven motivation, the spiritual bypassing, the identity built on fear. So you can finally build something real, something aligned, something sustainable, something that doesn't collapse the moment your soul evolves. The universe doesn't punish awakened people. It rewires them. And rewiring is messy. It looks like confusion, like loss, like misalignment, like chaos, but only because your old self is falling away. Every dismantling you've gone through, every financial setback, every moment you questioned your worth, wasn't a failure. It was a clearing for a new relationship with wealth, with purpose, with the value you bring into the world. And if you look closely, you'll notice something beautiful. Once you integrate your nervous system, once you rewrite your money story, once you build boundaries and choose creation over chasing, prosperity doesn't just return, it returns in a form that feels like freedom. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this journey hit you the most? Was it the ego dissolving, the spiritual bypassing, the nervous system piece, or the path of conscious wealth? Let me know in the comments. Your story might be the exact reflection someone else needs. And if you want to go deeper into conscious prosperity, I'm working on a video that explores what abundance really means beyond money. Make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss it.